Oh, let's look at another amazing game of Bobby Fischer. This is against one of his arch rivals on the US chess scene, Samuel Reshevsky, who was a child prodigy in his own right and a fantastically accomplished player and world title challenger. So this is their 1961 match, Game 2. Fischer, playing white, plays e4. We have the Sicilian defense, so pretty standard moves in the Sicilian, accelerating a fianchetto here without touching the d-pawn though, or playing knight f6, just going for a quick fianchetto to exert immediate pressure on d4. That's protected. Knight f6. Now there might be the possibility of knight g4 here. That's ruled out with bishop e2, black castles. f4, d6, and now the knight just goes back here. Bishop e6, and our normal looking move is just castling. For example, this has been seen before, where black is controlling that g4 square here and playing for d5. And this is thought to be about equal, this kind of stuff. But here, a super aggressive move is played instead. I wonder if you can guess it if I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, it's in the style of Nesmetanov. G4. It's not only attacking its positional, because actually f5 is gaining space. It's trying to secure the secure the d5 square. D5, yeah, a radical sort of liberating move at the cost of a pawn, trying to sack a pawn, and it's thought to be the classic recipe against the flank attack, to counter-attack in the center. f5, bishop c8. Now Fischer takes this pawn, knight b4, bishop f3, and now g takes f5. Now if white recaptures here, then bishop takes f5 is hitting c2 actually. So this position is going to be fine for black. So yeah, this is a very interesting idea, even though it's potentially double-edged because of that fracturing of the pawns around the king. We have a3 kicking the knight back, or soon anyway. After f takes g4, white just plays bishop g2 to make sure the knight can't take on d5 here. So the knight's pushed back to a6. And now queen d3, preparing to castle queenside. e6. Castling queenside. Knight takes d5. And now an undermining move, trying to open up lines against the king. h7, the soft spot h7. It could be under fire pretty shortly. Black tries to keep things shut down. The lines shut down with g3. Rook g1. Queen d6. And now bishop takes d5. Yes, giving up the light squared bishop, because there's bigger fish to fry than keeping the bishop pair. Knight takes d5, with the idea now bishop f4 to take on g3. And that would be a very dangerous pin on g7. King h8, bishop f4, queen g6. The queens are kept on here, queen d2. Bishop takes h3, rook takes g3. Going into a pin here, but with f5 coming, maybe this isn't such a big deal. Also Reshevsky fought. Rook h1, rook fe8, knight e3. Black counters with queen e4 hitting the rook. White defends that rook, so renewing the threat on g4. The bishop goes back to e6. But now, can you see what Fischer played in this position? The queen couldn't have taken on f4 because queen takes h7 mate, by the way. So in this position, white to play. So the bishop's attacked here, or not. No, it's not really, because as I just mentioned, queen takes h7. So the bishop's not attacked, but white has a great move in this position. I think black's principal threat might actually be bishop takes b3 and rook c8 check, because the queen sits on a nice central square, as well as defending h7. It's like attacking here on the c file. So this is dangerous. So white has to play with some speed. So did you guess, if I give you another 2 seconds to pause the video, white's play? Okay, very logical to strip the king of the fence. Rook takes g7. Very forcing. Check. And this wins the queen now. if the king had gone there, queen f6 check, it's not very pleasant anyway. So it's not very pleasant choices for black. So check here, and the queen comes back, giving herself up. But there's dark square weaknesses now. Knight d4, rook d8, bishop e5 threatening mate. Knight takes e6, rook takes, and now knight g4 threatening knight f6 check. That's parried for a moment. Queen g5 with all sorts of threats like knight h6, knight f6. We have check, h5, and now queen d8 check, and the game ends here. It's pretty decisive. If, for example, king h7, then there's queen h8 checkmate. If king f7, then knight h6 is checkmate. If the rook goes back, it's pretty hopeless here because of check, taking here, and it's all over really. Check, check would win the rook. So yeah, it seems a very, very interesting logical game. Super aggressive g4 move by Fischer instead of the standard, more sane looking casting. But sometimes, yeah, the move like g4 to invoke a central counter, pawn sacrifice, then white casting queenside, trying to open up the lines, black trying to keep the lines closed. But it became an irresistible attack once that g-pawn went. And after rook takes g7, yeah, the king safety was just shot to pieces around black's king. So a very instructive attacking game there between the two rivals. By the way, Fischer in 1964 listed Samuel Reshevsky as one of the greatest masters of all time, citing many other world champions, but including Reshevsky on his list. So great respect from Fischer of Samuel Reshevsky. Okay, hope you enjoyed this. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks very much.